Welcome everybody to another episode of the Kentwood Project.
We've got quite a bit of exciting things going on here in this last week or so. Well, exciting in the sense of we're getting closer to finish, but maybe not all super exciting to watch.
Yes.
Just as a forewarning for the time lapse.
You're going to see a lot of taping drywall, muddy drywall, sanding drywall, then texturing drywall, which is about as exciting to watch as painting.
But it is messy. So you may see some splattering all over the place. Well, intentional splattering and unintentional.
But don't worry, we'll have some good narrations that'll make it much more entertaining to be a part of.
Yes, and give you insight on what we're doing, things we learned, and
Fun
random
facts.
humor. Yes, fun facts. Well, with that, check out the time lapse.
It's the drywall, the last of our drywall extravaganza, being the bathroom. And just for anyone else who's watching this and thinking, oh look, they're patching new drywall in with old drywall. Terrible idea. Don't do it.
Someone may have thought of this earlier on, but we went with it anyway.
You might think it's a good idea, but it's not. It's a pain in the butt later on.
Or you might think it's a bad idea, but what's the word?
I don't know. You're trying to be mean to me, so we're gonna move on.
Anyway, the reason for not combining your drywall is because, actually, in some situations you may be able to, but the reason here was our old drywall was much thinner than our new drywall, meaning where we were adding our patches, we had a much larger ridge. And mudding ridges is no fun.
Yes, you have to feather your mud out further, so it's not a noticeable change, because all walls have, little bows in them here and there, but whenever you mud, it evens it out. But for that instance, it just kind of has to show a little more.
And there you saw John adding, here I'm taping floors, but John is actually taping across the joints of our drywall.
Yes, we're using a sticky fiberglass joint tape, which has its pros and its cons. One of the pros is it's kind of user-friendly for DIY people. You peel it off a roll just like tape and you stick it on the seams between your drywall meets, and it's there, it's happy. Unlike paper tapes where you have to lay a layer of mud and stick your paper tape on it and get it wet and all that stuff. But I feel like the paper tape probably would have done a better looking job at the end because there's no texture to the paper tape.
The paper tape is smooth on its own, whereas the fiberglass tape has little ridges.
Because it's a mesh.
Is there a strength component that is really needed, or is it pretty much just cosmetic?
Pretty much just cosmetic. And now we are starting the mudding process. This is our first layer of mud on top of our fiberglass tape, which if you're putting mud on top of fiberglass tape, you can't use your all-purpose mud. You have to use a quick set mud, either a 45-minute or a 90-minute mud. Apparently, I found out after researching, if you use all-purpose mud, it actually will sit there wet too long on that fiberglass tape, and it will start floating up to the surface.
That's no good.
No, it will be no good at all.
You definitely don't want your fiberglass tape to be showing, because that looks tacky.
It does, because of the texture of it.
Yeah.
Just like the paper tape, if it was showing, it would have been smooth, and you would never really notice paper tape.
True. At least not as much. So yes, mudding was definitely a developed skill. When we started out, it was quite frustrating.
Yes.
By the end, I felt a little bit more comfortable. Probably by the time we start our next house, I'll feel like a beginner again, and we'll get to do it all over. But in reality, I did feel like I learned quite a bit as we went through the house.
It is an art.
Mm-hmm.
People who do this full time, it really is an art
Who do it well.
Spreading mud evenly and smoothly and quickly.
Yeah, the quickness part.
I feel like we got it pretty well. It's just we were not fast by any means.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I did think we got better. I think one of the big takeaways for me was to not just mud I wasn't mudding just along my tape. Like I think I originally thought the mud just needed to cover my tape. But you actually want it to go quite a bit outside, right or left. And usually there's one piece of drywall that is a little bit lower. And you actually want to spread your mud farther along that. Mm-hmm. And that's what helps make your tape disappear. Yeah.
And especially because when you get drywall sheets, the edges of them are all indented. So your tape will sit down into the drywall when you mud it. It makes life a lot easier.
Yeah, so if you're mudding all new drywall, it's awesome.
Except sometimes you'll have a joint where you have two pieces of cut sheetrock or a new piece of sheetrock edge and a cut piece butting up next to each other. That's where it gets a little more difficult because there's no indention for that mud or tape to kind of go into.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's where you got to talk about, you're talking about, where you have to feather it out further on the sides.
Mm-hmm. So yes, lots of mudding. Still mudding.
But it looks better and better.
Oh, actually, I think now we're sanding. So yes, after the mud has dried, we did learn that too. We tried to sand a little too soon on a few spots. After your mud has dried, you will need to sand it. Hopefully, if you were fairly successful at your mudding, you won't have to sand a ton. Mm-hmm. But no matter what, you will want to sand that mud down.
Yes. And wear a respirator.
Yes, because it is dusty.
And now I think we're starting the cleaning process.
Yes.
And just so we can then lay down some tape and mask off everything for the texture to come.
Correct. So here we are covering up all the areas that we thought we wanted to save. And so windows, floor, doors, all that good stuff, because we don't want those to be textured.
Yeah. And we use a handy-dandy little 3M tape gun, which dispenses your tape onto your plastic sheathing all in a single whoosh.
Also, a little bit of an art, but I was going to say something you have to learn.
A skill?
No, it's like, I don't know. Words are hard right now, so we'll just go with an art.
Of using the tape gun.
Yes. But it's like one of those that, like, the more you use it, the better you get.
Just
but
like everything
there's a word for it, but I'm not
like everything we've done.
Yeah, it's true. Like most things in life, the more you do it.
The more you do it, the better you get.
It's true. Life lessons with John and Rachel.
And this is it. This is the final texture time.
Right, texturing time. I had never used a texturing gun before. It was interesting. The big funnel is funny.
It's full of watered down mud, and it's probably the quickest part of the entire drywalling process.
True.
I think you did that entire...
I did that in one day.
Retextured every surface.
Yes.
And you did it in a very short day. It took 3 or 4 hours, I think.
Yeah.
To do the entire house.
That was exciting. That felt good. Accomplishing.
And it really unifies everything, especially when you're bringing together new drywall and old drywall and patching holes in drywall. Mm-hmm. It really just like makes the eye disappear across all the transitions.
Ooh, it's really good here on the ceiling. You can tell, since the ceiling was so yellow, you can see the texture kind of coming across as I spray it. Oh man, and that funnel got kind of heavy. Like when I would load it up with the mud when you first started, holding it up sometimes.
And ta-da! Butted. Told you so. Wasn't that super exciting?
Well, thanks for joining us for another update from the Kentwood house. As always, if you have any questions, comments, kind things to say,
and like we always should do, subscribe.
Yes.
Tell your friends. This is kind of like a normal thing now we did at the end of our video to remind people of what to do.
Yeah, so we can get more audience.
It's your way of supporting us.
Yeah, and we like our supporters.
And making a video while doing a renovation is a lot of extra work.
It is, and I would attest to it's true, and he's really good about it, because there are days that I'm kind of like, meh, camera, it'll be fine.
Try and get the point in the right direction.
Yeah.
Moving around with you all day long, and then editing all these videos. So,
it's true.
do us a favor, return
If you
the love.
enjoy it, yes, let us know.
Let us know, subscribe, share, like, ring the bell. Love your neighbors.
And happy Thanksgiving. Although you may not see this until after Thanksgiving, but
I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving.
belated happy Thanksgiving. Well, that's a wrap.
Toy